Hey guys, before we start the video, I just want to let you know that the first 3 issues of my comic Dark Phantom are available now. Links in the description, and it'd mean a lot to me if you checked it out. Thanks, and let's get on with the video. Hey, welcome to Class Act Media. I'm Jack, and more ducks, more ducks, more ducks. Yes, I'm talking about DuckTales again, but in my defense, it's a good show. Yeah, I've got more to say about DuckTales. When I made my first video on it, I had seen all of Season 1 and the first half of Season 2. Well, for my Aladdin video, I bit the bullet and got a month of Disney+, so I decided to catch up on the rest of it. As I was watching through the rest of DuckTales Season 2, I watched what I think is the best episode in the entire show's run, and it ironically has to do with a different show entirely. Yes, the episode I want to talk about today, The Duck Knight Returns, focuses on another classic Disney afternoon show, Darkwing Duck. Now, in my original DuckTales video, I made it clear that I have no nostalgia for the original show, and I likewise have no nostalgia for the original Darkwing Duck. However, I did decide to watch a few episodes of the old show this time around, and I really enjoyed it. The jokes landed more often than not, Darkwing's a really fun character, and plus I just love superheroes, and if your show has a guy in a costume punching villains who are also in costumes, chances are I'll at the very least be interested in it. Point being, I have a little more familiarity with the source material this time around. In DuckTales 2017, Darkwing Duck has always been shown to be an old, cheaply made serialized TV show within the universe of the show. It's something that's been out of the public consciousness for a very long time, with its only real fan being Scrooge's chauffeur and pilot, Launchpad McQuack. God, I love DuckTales names. Anyway, The Duck Knight Returns focuses on the in-universe Darkwing Duck movie reboot, and I think it contains some of the most genius writing DuckTales has ever had within the context of its world, as well as one of the smartest commentaries on reboots and the culture surrounding them that I've ever seen. Let's start by taking a look at this episode's major players. First of all, we have Launchpad, the old-school Darkwing Duck fan who wants to make sure his favorite character is treated with respect and that it doesn't stray too far from the source material. And on the other side, we have the movie's director, Alistair Borswan, who is voiced by the legendary real-life director Edgar Wright. Neat. He plays the role of the filmmaker so caught up in his artistic vision trying to make his masterpiece that he clearly misses the point of what he's trying to adapt and doesn't really care. Hell, when he meets the original actor for Darkwing, he doesn't even recognize him. And you guys know how much I love it when filmmakers don't understand their source material. I love it. Speaking of that actor, Jim Starling, I'll save what he represents for later in the video, but right now you just have to know that he's a washed-up old has-been struggling to cling to any bit of relevancy he can get. Also, he's voiced by Darkwing's original voice actor, Jim Cummings. Nice touch. And the final piece of our puzzle is the movie's producer, Scrooge. He serves to represent the cynical movie studio who really doesn't care about any artistic vision and just wants to make money by desperately trying to appeal to kids, who in this case are represented by Dewey. I'm sure Edgar Wright knows nothing about having to deal with overbearing producers. Okay, now that we've been established to our main players, let's look at the story. About half the episode focuses on Jim and Launchpad breaking into the studio, with Launchpad taking out the new actor so Jim can replace him and quote-unquote fix the movie. But as Launchpad fights the actor, he begins to realize he's not the villain he thought he was. This man, who just a few minutes ago symbolized everything wrong with the upcoming movie, is now revealed to be just as big of a Darkwing Duck fan as Launchpad is, and is just excited to be able to add his voice to this property that means so much to him. I'd just like to point out here that a lesser script would have flipped the tables and tried to vilify Launchpad here, painting him as some loser man-baby fan who never should have cared so much about how a fictional superhero duck movie ends up. But DuckTales is smarter than that. Sure, it rightly makes sure to say that trying to sabotage the movie was a bad thing to do, but it doesn't say his heart wasn't in the right place. It understands that these properties, silly as it may seem to outsiders, do mean a great deal to a lot of people, and it's important to do them justice and stay true to the heart of the work. This is the turning point of the episode, where Launchpad agrees to stop Jim and work with the actor to try and salvage this sinking ship of a movie. Jim, on the other hand, has different plans, and it's here we start to see what he represents. When the actor goes to try and hand him an olive branch, Jim responds by beating him up and locking him in a closet so he can be the new star of the movie. On the surface, it's easy to say that Jim is just the generic, full-of-himself actor trope, but there's more to it than that. There's a reason they initially teamed him up with Launchpad, and no, it's not just because Launchpad is Darkwing's sidekick in the original show. They both represent the fan base of the original source material, but Jim is a much more toxic side of that fan base. The nothing can be changed, everything has to stay the same, and anyone who disagrees with me is my enemy side. He derails everything, ruining the production for both the filmmakers and the fans, just so he can get his way and be the center of attention. And the way he's ultimately defeated plays into this nicely too. First off, by the new actor returning, using all the life lessons he learned from watching Darkwing Duck as a kid about never giving up no matter how great the challenge. And secondly, by Launchpad, whose speech about his love for Darkwing snaps Jim out of his delusions long enough to jump in and save his life. Nice Flash of Two Worlds reference, by the way. Speaking of which, that's not just a reference for the sake of a reference either. Without getting too much into it, Flash of Two Worlds is another great classic example of a reboot honoring what came before it and justifying going in a new direction, so this is actually a pretty clever allusion. And the episode ends with Jim appearing to die and the actor vowing to take up the mantle of Darkwing Duck in real life. Oh, and by the way, have you noticed that we've never actually heard the actor's name yet? Well, he says it at the very end and it perfectly ties things together.
Drake Mallard. Never heard of you.
Yeah, if you didn't know, Drake Mallard is Darkwing's secret identity from the original show. And if you've noticed, they never actually said what Darkwing's secret identity was named when Jim played him, so this is a really genius way of the show having its cake and eating it too. They could have easily just said, Darkwing Duck is in the show now, deal with it, and most people probably would have been fine with that, but they went the extra mile to justify their reboot and honor what came before them. And that's just one of the many things that makes the DuckTales reboot so special. Anyway, I can't wait to see where DuckTales and Darkwing go in Season 3, but until then, I'll see you next time, guys.